SmallCapVoice.com.
Following is a presentation of SmallCapVoice.com, today's leader in investor relations, capital formation, and retail support. Now, with your online business briefing, SmallCapVoice.com's Stuart T. Smith.
Welcome back, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us once again at SmallCapVoice.com for our online business briefing, where we shine a spotlight on some of the freshest plays in the market today. Today, we're speaking to VGTel Inc. The company's ticker symbol is VGTL, but specifically, we're actually speaking to somebody, a nightclub, nightlife industry veteran out of Dallas. His name is Avi Adri, and the reason why we're speaking to him today is because of a letter of intent that VGTel just executed. Now, in that letter of intent, they're going to acquire 100% interest of the Don't Tell Supper Club, LLC. Avi is the creator of the concept behind that, as well as a longtime, as I said, industry veteran of the Dallas nightlife scene. So let's start with Avi now. Avi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for calling in, Avi. Well, as I mentioned, you are a nightlife veteran. You are a guru, if you will, inside the Dallas nightclub scene. Tell us a little bit about you and your background, and then we're going to get into your venture that you're CEO of, the Into the Night. So let's talk a little bit about you. Go ahead, Avi.
Well, I moved to Dallas at the age of 8 years old from Israel. Going through school and high school in Dallas, somehow I ended up going to a teen club at age 16, and that's really where it took off for me. I was approached about being a promoter in the Dallas area. So at about age 16, I started promoting for the venue. It was a 16 to 18-year-old club. And then it just kind of took off from there. After that point, finished high school, did a couple years of college, and during that time, I was still promoting and helping kind of build new concepts for bars. Built about 5 nightclubs in Dallas, Fort Worth area. 3 of them made the top 100 nightclubs in the country by Las Vegas Bar Nightclub Association, and things just kind of, elevated from there. I've also been able to build into the night management in the course of the last couple of years, just to take myself away from the operations and continue operations of nightclubs and just kind of helping build the concepts, getting them up and running, and also adding to the portfolio of festivals. We've done a few in Playa del Carmen. We're in negotiations now as well with hotels in Tulum and so forth. And that's kind of where it's been going now, is more of the, obviously as we age, nightclubs become a little harder to tend. So I've done a few restaurants. I had a restaurant called Rock and Taco in Dallas. Few other clubs that I've done here in Dallas have made national recognition. I think the biggest one would be a club called Aura Lounge on McKinney Avenue. We had every celebrity from Paris Hilton to the whole crew of Entourage there on a bi-weekly basis. It was the Dallas hotspot for sure for many years.
Well, it's definitely no doubt that you've got a background entrenched in this scene, and I want to talk about Don't Tell Supper Club now because, again, one of your concepts here has been rated the #1 hottest new restaurant by the Zagat survey, and that's an independent association that does restaurants, nightclubs, coast to coast, listeners, and I want you to learn more about this Don't Tell Supper Club by visiting the website don'ttellsupperclub.com, and I also want you to use that ticker symbol again, VGTL. Pull up the press release that came out September 12th. There is a YouTube link that gives you a little bit of a taste of the experience of the Don't Tell Supper Club. Let's talk about Don't Tell Supper Clubs now and how this all came about with you working with VGTel.
Long story short, I've been kind of seeing kind of a new surge of nightlife across the world. I would like to say that I forced myself to travel outside the U.S., in parts of Europe, parts of London. Just anywhere around the world that I go, I make it a special effort to kind of see what's coming, what's new, what's happening. Don't Tell Supper Club actually came about. One of my favorite venues, I think, is still one of my favorite venues in the world, called Baoli's. Baoli's is a supper club out of Miami. There's also a counterpart to that, which is out of Italy, Bogota. I went there, had a great experience, something that I wasn't really acclimated with or haven't seen really across the country or across the world, really, and it just started popping up, in a very, high touristy areas across the world. It was a dinner that elevated as your dining experience elevated, that nightlife part of it elevated. So it kind of took my vision of just nightclubs all the way back to, the early days, 60s or 70s when people went to dine and actually had a better experience of just dining and leaving. we wanted to extend the dining experience. So I took portions of that and kind of elevated it to completely different heights. What we did was we took some portions of that where we wanted to be a fine dining, obviously fine cuisine experience, but during your dinner cuisine experience, you get to be entertained, and not just by the staff itself, but we wanted to add showmanship to it, entertainers. So we added all those elements into what Don't Tell is today, which is a very unique supper club experience with a sensory overload of really taking you back to almost, I would say, childhood circus days, where you can dine, get entertained, whether it's aerialists, magicians, illusionists, whatever your mind can imagine. And that's where the Don't Tell comes about. We don't tell. We just let things happen as they go. We try to give you a little piece of what happens, but the overall experience is being told when you're inside the venue.
Well, it's been incredibly successful as well, Avi. I mean, I wanted to let the listeners know that since opening its doors in July 2017, it's already achieved gross sales of nearly $3 million. And again, it is very widely successful in terms of the reviews. And like you say in the press release, it kind of transforms into a Vegas-like nightclub as the night rolls on. And your mantra is eat, stay, and play. When it comes to VGTel, we see here that the idea then is to utilize this acquisition of Don't Tell Supper Clubs as a platform to pursue other Don't Tell Supper Clubs across the U.S. I mean, this is a concept that you could take coast to coast. What are your goals for it, Avi?
Correct. So when we opened up Don't Tell, and once again, like I said, nightclubs are kind of a thing of the past. As I read an article in the Wall Street Journal where the supper clubs are kind of taking over. But when we created the concept and everything kind of came together, we hit something that I've never hit. I don't feel as I've hit in the past, which is something so brandable, so exciting, so talked about that we could put this everywhere else. So our ultimate goal is 2 more venues here in the Texas market, and then eventually coasting off to other states. We wanted to focus the next 2 concepts here in our state so we can kind of monitor and make sure that everything is done properly before we take it to other states in the country. I do have great relationships, and I have built and helped support venues in New Orleans and Atlanta, and that those 2 markets are definitely shouting our name as well. So we are looking to expand as fast as we can with keeping the integrity of the venue and the integrity of the brand.
I love to hear that, Avi. That's a great plan. I mean, most companies, they try to grow too fast. It sounds like you've got an excellent plan of regional growth here in the great state of Texas, which many know it's a massive state to begin with, but you're able to still have your hands on and be able to see how a rollout would work before reaching out to, those are 2 unbelievable nightclub markets in and of themselves, Atlanta and New Orleans. Well, listeners, once again, we are speaking with Avi Adri, again, the CEO of Into the Night Management and the creator of the concept behind Don't Tell Supper Clubs. And as you heard at the outset, a man with an industrious career from really the age of 8, but okay, we'll say that it started a little bit later than that, Avi. I mean, obviously you've had your hand in the nightlife experience in Dallas since you were a teenager. You are the right man at the right time, and it sounds like the shareholders of VGTel Incorporated have a lot to be excited about. Ticker symbol, once again, VGTL. That website, again, to learn about the supper club is don'ttellsupperclub.com. I want you also to reach out to VGTel at VGTelinc.com. That's VGTelinc.com. Well, Avi, I look forward to speaking with you again in the very near future as more big developments happen and hit the press wire. We'll look forward to speaking with you again.